Hello, my lovelies. Here I am with a little live for you. I just felt inspired after having trained Muay Thai this morning with my lovely one-to-one trainer Nat at Pisces. And I wanted to get some of the stuff that I took from it onto paper. So I've actually got my trusty journal. Because often when I come to talk about it, I forget all of the stuff that I learned. It's never just one thing. I never leave a Muay Thai session thinking, oh, I learnt this one thing about myself today. There's always like a plethora of different things that I've taken from it. So I wanted to just do a live stream to share this with you. It's not about Muay Thai, really. It's more about how, well, how I make everything mean something. I am a meaning-making machine, and I'm always looking to improve myself and to be one step better. Now, obviously, that has its drawbacks as well, because it can mean that I can be a bit of a perfectionist and I can want things, mainly myself actually, to be 100% perfect, to be doing as much as I can at all times. And if I ever feel like I'm lagging, then I can be pretty harsh on myself. And as much as that can be positive and negative, it can be a great thing because it means that I have drive to succeed. I have drive to keep giving and delivering to my clients and to all of you lovely people out there who maybe aren't my clients just yet. It does also mean that sometimes I can burn myself out because I'm so kind of being of service and doing as much as I possibly can at all times. And as I talk about often, it can be easy to forget to put my self-care and looking after myself in the physical realm. I'm pretty good at doing this stuff, but I'm not so good at doing the physical stuff because I tend to spend so much time like whizzing around up here in a cloud. So I wanted to share with you firstly, there's a few things here, so stick with me. It's juicy. The first thing was, going back today, I've had a bit of a break on and off pretty much since my fight in November. So when I went back today, I was aware that I had some shin pain and that my calf muscles have been giving me a little bit of grief. And I'm aware that there are meta reasons behind that, which I won't go into right now. But it's all a healing phase. Actually means, from what I can gather from my research, it actually means that I'm coming to the end of something. So there's like a resolution, which is a great thing, but it means that I have to ride out the physical symptoms, which come from a resolution, an emotional resolution. But so I took my shins and my calves, and I was thinking, oh shit, this is going to be terrifying. Nat's going to beat me up. And when I got there, I explained, how basically I'd been afraid that I was going to let them down. I feel a bit emotional even saying that. But I was so worried that I was going to let Nat and Andy, the coaches at Pisces, that I was going to let them down, that I'd almost convinced myself not to go training because it was like, oh, I'll go back to training when I lose X amount of kilograms, or I'll go back to training when that my legs aren't, hurting or whatever it was. And actually the only way to get the weight off, for a start, I mean, I'm never going to get the weight off if I don't go back to training, so it's a bit of a vicious cycle. And also my body isn't going to get stronger if I don't train. So I kind of have myself in this weird catch-22 where it's like, oh, I'll wait until ... and then I'll go back, knowing that part of the way I do achieve those goals is by going back. So okay, so anyway, when Nat said to me today, "We believe in you," to me that was just like a really powerful sucker punch. And I'm not going to lie, people, I did have to give her a little bit of a hug. So she does have a soft side, although I probably shouldn't put that out there. She's still scary. I mean, she could still kick the shit out of me, but she does have a soft side, I promise. And, knowing that these people believed in me and that they saw the potential in me that maybe I was struggling to see because of this, it was just a real... I don't know, it was quite emotional for me because I am a big squishy marshmallow on the inside. And words of affirmation are so important to me because, as I've told you guys before, I am actually, that's like my top love language when I did the test online to find out how I give and receive love, and what my number one way to do that is. Words of affirmation are really important to me. So when people tell me I'm doing something well, I'm more likely to actually keep doing something well. I'm not necessarily a person who, if I get criticized, sometimes that can be harder for me to then keep going through it. So having those words of affirmation and just have someone say, "We believe in you," was such a powerful thing for me today. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, in terms of how this session related to my life and to business, and I think to everyone, is to just do what you can, and that you're the only person that's holding you back. So sometimes we can feel like, well, I don't have all the systems in place, I don't have all the tools in place, I'm not the right weight, I don't look right, I don't feel right, whatever it is, all these things, I can't go to that meeting and rock the meeting if I don't have, a sexy new pencil case or whatever. Do people still even have pencil cases? I don't know. But I find it interesting that I was worried because my legs were kind of giving me a bit of pain. I was worried I'm not going to be able to kick or do lots of knees and things, just because of the pain and the tightness in my legs. So rather than going and just saying to the coaches, "Oh, this is a bit of an issue for me, so I'm just going to do upper body, and when we do legs and stuff, I'll go on the bag," or whatever, I was thinking, oh, well, if I can't do that part of the training, then I'm just not going to go. So that, to me, doesn't just stand for my training, it stands for life and my business. Just because, and also I see it in my clients, just because everything isn't perfect and you don't have all of the pieces and you haven't dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, doesn't mean that you can't take a step. Doesn't mean that you can't do one little thing that's going to help bring you closer to where you want to be ultimately. And so doing what you can is better than doing nothing at all. And that was really something that kind of landed for me today. One of the reasons that I hadn't done what I could, because of my perfectionism sometimes, was also because I was afraid that I would be judged. I was afraid that they would think, oh, she can't do it all, she's not trying hard enough. And actually, I think probably in reality they just would have been really happy for me to be back in the gym doing what I can and just at least keeping my hand in. So knowing that now, that's a really good thing to take forward. Just because you can't live your life worrying about what other people are going to think of you. Well, I mean, you can, but it'd be pretty shit, and you would get very frustrated. And, God, if we're living for other people all the time, it's impossible. Because if I was to ask any number of you, what do you really want from life? Holy fuck. If any of you can actually tell me categorically 100%, this is exactly what I want from life, and that never changes, then hats off to you, my friends, because I, for one, my goals change constantly. There's a few that are kind of, that are a bit more steadfast, but generally, goals are such changeable things. And the same goes for other people. So just because I might have, I might be living for others, but they don't even know what they want. So how the hell am I meant to know what they want from me? Because they don't even know what they want from themselves. So we're all so caught up in worrying what other people think, but really everyone's caught up in worrying about what other people think. So if we worried less about that and more about ourselves, we'd probably get a lot more done. So anyway, even if you don't feel ready and you don't have all of the tools yet, just take a step, which is something else that I've written down here again. So even though I wasn't 100% physically today, I still smashed every single thing that I could, and I've got the grazed knuckles to prove it. I don't know if you can see, but they're pretty ouchy right now. There's a couple of other things that I learned today, and one of them was practicing the basics and keeping those really fucking nailed down. Because when you are tired, and this isn't just for Muay Thai, this is in life in general as well, when you are tired, if you are not looking after yourself, in fact, when you're tired, you need to be doubling your efforts to take care of yourself. So whether it's in the ring, when you're fighting or sparring, or whether it's in business or just in life in general, if you are fucking exhausted, you need to double your efforts to take care of yourself. You need to make sure you have 2 green juices a day. You need to make sure that you are getting even more rest. journaling more, taking more care of yourself. Because when you are tired is when you are most vulnerable. So make sure that when you are exhausted and you feel that like someone's pulled your plug out, that is not the time to push through. That is the time to take a breath. That's a time to maybe reschedule a client if you have to, because you're not going to be able to serve them at your best. So it's all well and good trying to keep our cup full, but we know that in reality, it's harder than it sounds, because part of being human is the love of giving and the love of sharing things with people. And so we can naturally be almost like overly abundant at times with our energy and end up in this place. I'm yet to meet somebody, even of all the coaches I've worked with and all of the lovely people that I've met through my work, I'm yet to meet somebody who can say, oh yes, I 100% take care of myself at all times and I never fall off of that wagon. I am perfect. Okay? No one can say that, which means that maybe we're all perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect. And this means that sometimes we are going to fall off that self-care wagon. But when you're there and you're absolutely fucking knackered, double your self-care efforts. That's what you need to do. Okay, and so also, in terms of self-care, I can see my dog is about to bark at something. No, we're good. We're golden. We're in the clear. I've got a couple more minutes before he loses his shit at the neighbour outside. So the final thing is just to nail down the basics. So like a self-care regime, having things that you do every single day that ground you and bring you back. So whether that's in business, you have really simple systems that you always come back to and you're always refining those basics. Whether it's in Muay Thai and you're just constantly practicing that jab, whatever it is, always come back to the basics. Have something that you know you can always go back to. So when you're tired or when you're just feeling like overwhelmed and a bit frazzled and like, I don't know where to go next, have these things in place. So whether that's knowing that if you just meditate for 10 minutes or if you just take some time, maybe it's just something as simple as having fucking hot lemon in the morning, right? Whatever it is, if you are exhausted and you need to double your self-care efforts and take care of this, you need to make sure you've got something basic to come back to. And it was the same in my training today. We drilled the basics because it's so important. When I'm tired and I'm sparring, even when I was doing pad work today, when I was getting tired and I'm like getting a little bit lazy with looking after my head, every time I did it, Nat slapped me in the head with a pad. So, you know, when you're tired, double your self-care efforts, take care of yourself. And that means, bizarrely, you can keep going for longer. So take care of yourselves, everyone. Let me know if you train Muay Thai. Let me know if this resonated with you, even if you don't, if you have your own business and you can totally relate to what I've been talking about. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.